Friends, very good evening and welcome to yet another episode of Ground Zero Everyday Leaders. I should actually call it a fresh season. It's season 3 of the program that we run on my YouTube channel. And I would call it episode number 1. It gives a privilege to be always hosting the episode number 1 at the beginning of any year. And that is why I call it episode number 1. And today we are just going to get empowered and enriched as we begin this new year, because the person we have as our guest is going to do just about that for us. It's always said, life coaching is your opportunity to take your life from good to great. But I would add a sentence to that. I would say, and make someone else's life greater. And the gentleman, Mr. Hariharan Iyer, whom I have as my guest today, he's probably taken an oath, and we'll find out more about it today, to make someone else's life better, to make the society better, to make the people living around him better. And certainly I see that in every effort he makes in his day-to-day life. With that, I welcome Hariharan Iyer to tonight's show. Sab.
Thank you,
Very good evening. Very good evening.
Good evening, Alan. Thanks a lot. And it's always a pleasure and a privilege to be invited. I don't know whether I'm doing anything so great in life, but it's always good to get some screen space, some footage in life. No harm done.
No harm done. But I can this is my 3rd season, Harisab, and the little efforts that we make from such broadcasts, and I know you put in a lot of efforts in your programs. People have kind of vouched, and I don't believe that they're telling a lie when they say they do get empowered. They get a message out of it. They really take a leaf out of the programs, and that is the effort we all, especially the life coaches such as yourself, and I'm on my journey as well, do take privilege in. And then that is the pride we take in, right? We don't need any other honor, but just that one message coming from even one soul makes our life so beautiful.
Sure.
So with that, we'll begin the program and we'll dive straight into some of the questions which I would love to hear from you. The answers I would love to hear from you, because your life is really enriching. Harisab, tell us a little bit about your early life.
I've grown up in Mumbai, and so my parents and we 2 kids, my elder brother and me, moved to Mumbai in 1973. So it's been a long stint in Mumbai. So in every way, a Mumbaikar, and I lived here, learned a lot. The city teaches you a lot. The city, it takes you for a ride. It extracts every ounce of energy that exists within you, and it teaches you a lot. So I did my schooling here, my graduation, post-graduation, first job, first love, which was a failed attempt. But so a lot of things have happened in Mumbai. So so I'm a complete Mumbaikar, though I've traveled India a lot. I lived outside also. I lived for some time in Calcutta, some time in Bangalore, some time in Delhi, some time in Cochin, but more or less, my life has been spent in Mumbai, in one of the suburbs. So that is Mulund, that is where I grew up. And then, of course, after marriage, we moved into Chembur. And Mulund is the last stop of Mumbai. So after that, it's Thane. So I was right. So geographically on the edge, and also life has been on the edge in this city. So
yes, we call when we joke around amongst our friends, we call Mumbai as the Tras city, and in Konkani Tras,
yes, it's a Tras city. Absolutely,
it's a Tras city. But I think that's how life generally teaches you, right? It teaches you out of your problems and the challenges, and Mumbai makes every citizen of that place a person, a complete person in some sense or the other.
Yeah. It's a life of struggle here, because People are jostling for space, and it's highly overpopulated. Overpopulated is a term which does not quite explain the real population challenge here. So I think it's many times, multiple folds overpopulated.
So I think, a lot of, should I understand from what I'm hearing from you, a lot of the soft skills that you kind of portray in your sessions come from experiences that have gone through when grown up.
Yeah. So Mumbai teaches you to build relationships. Mumbai also teaches you, in facilitation, we talk about space management, the floor. Literally, we have to manage our spaces in Mumbai. So whether you're inside the local train or inside a public transport, or you live in those matchbox houses in Mumbai. So I suppose it teaches you a lot of things. It teaches you compromises, teaches you adjustments. It teaches you relationships. Mumbai, people are always there to either completely ignore you or totally help you. There are only two extremes out here. So the neighbor may not know you, but if he stands by you, then he will go through, he'll go through the full process. So I think it's a very extreme city, and I think there's also a book written called The Maximum City. So on Mumbai. Sorry. So so it teaches you a lot of these, what we call as soft skills, or I would take it another step and say survival skills. I think if you live in Mumbai, you know how to survive and how to respect every ounce of space, every minute of your life. We measure our life not in terms of kilometers, we measure it in terms of time. So how long will it take for me to reach the place? So from one place to the other. Somebody asked me, so where do you stay? I said, I live in Chembur. So if I had to go to this place, how long it will take? I told him, in Mumbai to visit a neighbor also, it takes minimum 1 hour. So wherever you go, it's 1 hour. That's the bare minimum that you have to budget for. True. Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's a dream city for a lot of people. A lot of people make their dreams come true. Many dreams go under the carpet also. But it gives you a living. You can survive here. You can find your ways through and you can survive.
Excellent. And we find that, I've lived in the Gulf. I went to the Gulf as a bachelor. And whilst most of us struggled, the Mumbai cars amongst us, they seem to have outshined that bit pretty clearly. The reason I say that is they seem to be so comfortably living the space, even as they enter a new city, because they've come from so much of struggle and challenges. Correct. And certainly what you just said, summarizes the whole thing. It summarizes the whole thing. Hari Saab, I have a question for you. I know today you're a full-time entrepreneur and we'll speak about it in a bit. But before getting into entrepreneurship, what was life treating you as?
So I basically did my postgraduate in political science, and then I did my experimentation with my own career. Started with research, then got into journalism. 6 years I worked as a journalist. Right. And then I figured out my passion was in speaking training. So it's in 2001 that I actually came into training as a profession, full time. So I started working for IMS, which is into management entrance coaching. Mm-hmm. And then from IMS, I moved to Max New York Life Insurance, which was quite a game changer for me in terms of helping me who I am, understand who I am, discover the purpose of my life. So the 5.5 years in Max New York Life is what set me up for entrepreneurship. I learned training, I learned people development, motivation, product development, so many aspects that go with it. So you have to work a little bit like an entrepreneur there, could not work purely like an employee. So from that perspective, I think it set the base for me to jump into entrepreneurship. So that was till 2009. So research, journalism, training, and then 2009 onwards, yes, I've been running my company. So far, so good. God is great. So,
and I would elaborate on the word or the letters that your company is formed on HSSE. which
Yeah,
is Hariharan School of Success Education.
right.
A beautiful, it looks like a very stretched out, name for an institute. It sounds like almost Birla Institute of Technology and
It's
Sciences.
it's it's, it's
But,
narcissism, nothing else.
well, I mean, but the name attached to it makes it resounding and powerful.
So many people, Alan told me when I started this company that why should you have your name on the company name? The Reliance is known by the Ambanis, but they don't call themselves as Ambani Private Limited. So then, luckily, I figured out that Larsen and Toubro were two people. So I thought, yes, there is a precedent there. So not that if there was no precedent, it would have mattered much. But then there are a few others also told me, why not? If that's what gives you the energy to do business, that's what drives you from within, why not you put your name there? That's okay. It's your school. So you call it your school. How does it matter? Today, people have started recognizing HSSE as a brand in a small way. And people have started recognizing that it's not just about this one gentleman. And they have absolutely no qualms about the founder's name being part of the company. So that's great. so
No,
so,
absolutely. I mean, I love the name. I must say.
yeah, thank you.
I love the name. Hari Saab, I would have asked you this right at the beginning, because we're talking about, when I talk about you, I relate you to soft skills. And you have recognized the value of soft skills at a very young age. Even in the corporate world, people recognize it at a very later stage. Thankfully, things are changing now. Importance of soft skills, especially in the corporate world, but more so with the children who are growing in schools and colleges. I would love to hear something about it from you.
I would add a dimension to it, which is behavioral skills, or behavioral aspects of our life, which are highly neglected. I think we need to go beyond soft skills. Soft skills is about essentially communication. It's the softer aspect of life. So, for example, when you get into a job, why is this differentiation? Essentially, because when you get into a job, you need technical skills. So, if you are joining a call center, you need a particular kind of a technical skill. You're joining sales, you need some kind of a technical skill. So, you need some technical skill. You're an engineer, you need technical skills. If you're an IT professional, you need to understand coding and whatever that comes with it, or whatever. I mean, I'm not the right guy to comment on that, but the software side. But ultimately, you have to deal with people. While machines give you a livelihood, but your sustenance, your happiness, your ability to grow, it all comes with your ability to deal with people effectively. And some of the best successful managers, professionals, entrepreneurs are not because they have great knowledge of technicalities. They are successful because they're just so amazing with people. They just know how to deal with people. They just know how to work with people. And I think in a highly divisive society that we are becoming, this is becoming an even greater challenge now. And people are just not understanding the value of building relationships, long-term relationships. It's all about use and throw. So as I tell people, you have to utilize people. You should not use people. The idea is to leverage them, not to use them. And I think people are just trying to use each other, whether it's politics, whether it is sports, whether it is living in a cooperative society. It's as within families, I find people are trying to use each other rather than trying to utilize each other. I think it's all about. So when you talk about soft skills, when you talk about behavioral skills or whatever you call it, they're essentially talking about character. Character is a much broader word than it is generally used for value systems, but I think it's a much broader word. So, what's your relationship character? I mean, do you have the patience to build relationships? Do you have the aptitude to build relationships? Do you care, first of all, to build relationships? And do you realize that we live in an interdependent society? So, I just had somebody tell me sometime back that he was interviewed by a company on behavioral aspects, and he himself is an IT person. So he found that very new. Maybe it is not so often used in while recruiting IT professionals, but I think as you grow in your career, as you build a business, it's all about people.
Absolutely.
It's your equations with people, and that comes with a lot of practice. It comes with a lot of diligent effort. And you may not be the best guy technically around, but if you are good with people, I think you'll do pretty well in life. And you may be the best guy technically, but if you're bad with people, then your luck is going to run out at some point.
Well said. Yeah.
Well,
so I think what we are probably lacking these days, Hari Saab, is the statesman in the society. I mean, we have leaders who have how can you even call them leaders if you have short-term goals, right?
Absolutely.
If you're thinking about just today and probably even tomorrow, then I wouldn't call them statesmen. Statesmen are people who think about the next generation. And I think that is what is missing among many of us. And
today, the biggest problem, Alan, is success is measured by your bank balance. So so when I meet some people and they ask, "What's the turnover of your company?" It's a question I'm very uncomfortable with because it's a personal question. How much money I have, or what kind of a relationship I share with my spouse or with my family members, is not your business at all. It's my business.
Absolutely.
Right. So I think if you flaunt around yourself and say that, you made so much money, and I'm not saying that's not important. Of course, it's important. But the point here is you don't have to know about it. You need to know the work that I'm doing. And if you're hiring me as a consultant or whatever, you should know whether I can give you the value that you want or not. That's it. It's as simple and straight as that. You don't have to know my bank balance. You don't have to know what kind of lifestyle I have, which car am I moving around. I hire an Uber and I travel. That doesn't lower my abilities, my status, or for all you know, I hire an auto rickshaw in Mumbai. It's much easier to get into an auto rickshaw in Mumbai and keep moving around. I think if you ask me, it is the lowering of the intellectual caliber in society. I wrote a blog recently about how capitalism has impacted learning as an industry. So I wrote it on LinkedIn. It's called The Rise and Fall of Learning, or in capitalism, something on those lines. So I think you see too many trainers also talking a lot about goals and turnovers and success and money and so many registrations happened. We all aspire to be celebrities. We all aspire that if I announce an open workshop, I should get 500 people for it. We all aspire for that. But you've got to understand that everybody is very different and everybody has their own journey in life.
During the course of the pandemic, we had so many experiences, good and bad. And more importantly, whether it was good or bad, we all learned from it. And one of the human tendencies in life was to rush about things and go after things very quickly, fast. The life was very fast paced, and the pandemic has taught us a lot of things, especially to slow down and kind of sit back and think about how you take your next step. My question here, Hari Saab, is: has the industry also adapted to that sort of thinking? Have they realized and recognized that behavioral skills, as you rightly said, is primarily more important now, especially after the pandemic? Do you see any difference?
Yes, I think they have, because from my interactions that I'm having right now, I started to realize that, there is suddenly a value for the people that I took them for granted till about 2 years ago. Because today life is so tricky and so uncertain. Somebody you met today may not be around after a few days. It can happen to us. It can happen to anybody. And why? Because something just went wrong.
Yeah.
The pandemic, you just got to pray to God that you're never on the right side of the pandemic. You're on the wrong side. Because being positive today is a very negative word. So So in that sense, so I think people have started to, more than anything, I think they have realized that we got to value people when they are around us. And we have got to value that bond of working together, meeting together, having lunch together, enjoying those smaller moments of life, which we took for granted. And it's not worth taking so much stress for your career goals. Though, I mean, it's not going to go away, it's going to be there. But at least I think there is a little bit of temperance that is setting in somewhere, but it's still pretty chaotic right now. People are still figuring it out. But yes, I think people have started to realize that people need to be trained now. People need to be taught. They need to be engaged. Training is a wonderful way to engage them.
Very much.
They need to be given some value addition.
Absolutely.
So I always believed my profession was the best profession in the world, but I think now the world is confirming it to me also.
Yes, and then I think what I would like to hear from you, because you've been in this industry for a long time, training and development, or L&D, and what is important, when a company is formed, is the mission that you set, the statement, the mission statement. And I'm sure HSSE has a mission statement, and that's very important when you actually analyze a company. For example, an HR person analyzes HSSE, mission statement that you go with is very important to him or her.
Yeah, so it's PVMV actually. You need a purpose statement, you need a vision statement, you need a mission statement, and you need a value statement. So we have everything. It's taken a long time for this to evolve. Very interestingly, last month I did a workshop for a startup, which is also a learning startup. It's in the learning industry. So we did a workshop for them on the PVMV statements. So that was very satisfying, because at the end of the workshop now they actually have their PVMV statements, and that will be put up in all their communication and all their literature.
Fantastic.
Sometimes you may not be able to have a very clearly structured mission statement. That does not mean that you don't have a mission. Sometimes some companies will have very clear-cut, defined mission statements, but that doesn't mean that they have a mission. So it's about the spirit of the game.
Yeah.
You may not always be able to language it absolutely appropriately, but some people are able to live that spirit, and you know that this guy is on a mission. Whether he's able to put it in so many words or not, what my mission is, but at least you know that this guy is on a mission, and you know that this guy has just got a mission statement. There is no mission around it. The mission is to make some quick bucks, use people, and just keep making money and keep moving forward. Henry Ford said, if the only purpose of your business is to make money, it is a very poor business. Hariharan saying it may not make a lot of sense, but Henry Ford saying it does make a lot of sense. One of the world's foremost industrialists who introduced the affordable vehicle segment, and such a legend in his lifetime. So he said, if the only purpose of your business is to make money, I'm not sure it's a very rich business. It's a very poor business.
Well, one of the more very important, or rather interesting word that I'd like to introduce to the audience, and many of us who know you define you by that word, is the word Entertrainer. Now, coming from Mumbai, probably an entertainment business is quite popular. That's fine, but how did Entertrainer come into existence? Hariharan, what were you trying to do there?
The great thing about having the Entertrainer trademark is that now I have a solid brand which I can talk about, and people can relate with it. The flip side is people actually think I'm a very light-hearted guy, and but actually I'm a very serious guy. I think very deeply, and I all the thoughts that I'm presenting right now, there's a certain complexity to them. It's not so simple. So I'm actually a very, very serious guy. When I tell this to people, they start laughing. So I suppose that's the image I have built. So it's my problem. So Entertrainer, but I'm very proud of the Entertrainer tag, because It gives learning a twist, and it makes learning very interesting for people. So once I was doing a session for LIC, and the organizer at the end of the session said that was not just a training session, that was an enter-training session. So he's the one who introduced this term, Mr. Sailesh Samant, my good friend. And so he said, so then I thought, yeah, I think that is very interesting. So then I bounced it off with a couple of other people, and one of my other client friends, he also told me that I think we should trademark this now. And that's when he introduced me to another gentleman who got me in touch with an IPR lawyer, and then it happened. So it just happened by chance. I mean, I had not planned it. I think it landed on my lap, and I'm very grateful for that.
Fantastic. Well, I think you enthrall the crowd regardless of how serious you are, Rishabh. For the audience, again, for the sake of the audience, I would encourage you guys to watch some of his videos on his YouTube channel and all the social media platforms that Hariharan Saab is on. Do visit. We'll try and put it on our comment box in this YouTube channel as well, for you to follow and learn more from his journey. What does the Entertrainer have to advise the young generation, the younger generation who are aspiring to be trainers such as yourself? I mean, somehow, yes, you did talk about the examples of the great Ford, Mr. Ford, telling us about, money is not everything. But today, there's so much of pressure building, even in the education system. Even the children are kind of course, there's a balance. There are some who do that, some who don't. But I feel there are still many who kind of force their children into careers. And at the end of the day, with the anticipation that they earn more. And training and learning and development of the training industry, it may not be a lucrative, potentially earning business or platform for entrepreneurship. But why would you advise a young person to take up that if he has even the slightest of thought to being a trainer and a coach?
I mean, many of them are doing HR, so they may as well do training also. It is just that we don't have a structured, some kind of a post-graduation or a PGDM course on training as such. Yes, there is ISTD, which offers you a training and development program, but I don't think we have a very professional oriented. I don't think we have a course where I can go to campus and hire a trainer.
Yeah.
And people are, I think the industry is still evolving. The training fraternity is still evolving. It is very much still a part of the HR ecosystem. And I think that's how it should be, because training and HR, they're two sides of the same coin. How will you build a human resource without training them? And how can you be a trainer if you don't understand people? Or you don't have the love for being with people and dealing with people? So, as far as the money part is concerned, I think there is always this imbalance in life. Some people make a lot of money in any profession. Some people just kind of get around, and some people are there somewhere in between. So I think that's something, I don't know, maybe it's got something to do with each one's script of life, each one's journey. But I think money is there in every business, in every profession. It's how passionately you do it. In itself, no profession is rich. I think you're going to make it rich through your passion. And if you bring in your passion, and I think that's my, I'm very wary of advising people because I don't like to take advice myself. So it doesn't authorize me to advise others. But I would just say that don't make your decisions based only on money. Money is definitely one criteria you will have, of course. But ask yourself, will doing this work make me happy? And I think that is the biggest wealth that you will get in your life.
Absolutely.
You see, you want to get up in the morning and do the work that makes you happy. You don't want to get up in the morning and do the work feeling a sense of burden. It may be paying you millions, but then if you're not happy working with your boss, you're not happy in that environment, you feel this is not where my talent really is, then that millions have no meaning, because ultimately you will have some mental, physical issue, and that millions will go into that. It is possible.
Absolutely. I think a great kind of advice coming in straight from one of the gentlemen who empowers younger generation as well. So be passionate about things you do and follow your passion. I think that then your dreams will realize, and not only realize, but also bring in your day-to-day living into your life.
So I think even if your dreams are not realized,
yeah,
you will always be joyful because you're doing what makes you happy. And I started HSSE with a lot of dreams, nowhere close to where I want to be, but it makes me feel very proud and very happy every day. Every day I get up in the morning. My only prayer to God is, till the end of my life, I should be able to do what I want to do. For me, that is success. If I can do what I want to do, I'm successful. Whatever rewards it gives me, or payments it gets me or does not get me, whatever the case might be. So I believe in the Cheteshwar Pujara philosophy of life. Unfortunately, the poor guy is going to get dropped now. But I think that's you play the waiting game in life. You play the waiting game. So,
yes, very true. Who inspires you the most, Hari Saab? I mean, we talked about your inspiration to others, and you're an inspiring personality. We would love to hear as to who inspires you.
There are many heroes, foremost being Mahatma Gandhi. Again, not a very popular name these days, but I mean, I always found it so fascinating that there could be this one man, and that inspired a module which I created called as One Man's Passion. So this one man would take on a whole regime by using non-violence. He said, "You slap me, I'm okay with that, but I will not slap you back, and I'll still drive you out of this country." And not only that, he experimented with the truth. He risked his reputation, his image. A lot of people say a lot of interesting things about him even today. And he inspired a whole generation of humanity, not just our country, to take to the non-violent approach. And because of him, not only India but many other Afro-Asian countries got freedom. He was able to inspire that, and I think you may love him, you may hate him, but I think you will never get over him. I mean, he's just such a personality. I mean, how could he do it? I could not meet him in flesh and blood. That was one. I mean, I could not have. I was born much later than after he died. But I met Mother Teresa in Calcutta, and I think that was a divine experience. And I just get the feeling that maybe if I'd met Gandhiji, I would have felt the same. My wife and me had this great opportunity to meet Mother. Incredible. I mean, it's very difficult to express how it feels to be in the company of such a legend, somebody who gave so much to society. Yes, there will always be some voices for and against. That's part of life. But then, great lady. My other inspirations obviously have been some fantastic people in my life, my bosses. I've been inspired by my parents, my brother. They brought in the reading culture within the family. Childhood hero has been Sunil Gavaskar. I just can't get over him. I mean, I think he's the one I remember every day because I'm a cricket fanatic. So Gavaskar is part of my consciousness. That man could take on, the mightiest of bowlers on difficult pitches without a helmet.
The big birds.
He played for his country. I mean, he defended his country. He did not just defend the ball. He defended the pride of his nation, and I think that is something amazing about Gavaskar. And today also, you see the energy with which he speaks and he commentates, and he's so active. Amitabh Bachchan. I mean, how can I? So one friend of mine, she told me there is so much of Amitabh Bachchan in the way you speak. I said I can't help it. So we grew up with Bachchan, his professionalism, and look at his passion. I mean, he's 80. And, I mean, amazing. I mean, people half his age can't work like him. So brilliant, absolutely. I mean, Alan, there are so many heroes. Mohammad Rafi Saab. I mean, oh my God, what a amongst all these great people. I think probably I have the highest regard for Rafi Saab, because you're not only a very successful and a singer and a Bollywood legend, but I think one of the finest human beings that you'll ever come across in your life. And to have that combination of a celebrity who's also a great human being and also a great artist is very rare.
Harisab, you have also made an attempt. I'm sure you're taking it to the next level in writing books. You authored a couple of books. I know. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, 8 books. So written 8 books so far.
Times 4.
Yeah. So I think I write for the joy of writing. I never thought that I should write because, of course, you also write because from a professional point of view, it helps build your brand. And people are a little fascinated. I don't think many of them read, but they're fascinated by the fact that you write. And I think the good thing with me is consistency. So somebody might write a book or two, and then maybe there'll be a big gap or whatever. Somebody might write a blog and not write another for a few months. But I think with me, the consistency is there. So Rahul Dravid type of style, just go on and do the same thing every day again and again. So I've authored more than 150 to 160 blogs in these last 10, 11, 12 years. Then my YouTube channel is 190 videos. 8 books. I'm passionately working on the next one right now. As I speak to you, I've been writing something I will share with you later.
Sure.
So, because a lot of ideas keep coming. So I do it more because if I don't do it, I won't be able to sleep at night. I don't do it just because, of course, I hope that one day I will be a best-selling author and one of my books will be made into a movie. I'm a dreamer. Every day I dream. It will become a web series. I'll be a celebrity. You don't know all kinds of crazy dreams I have every day. Daydreaming. I'm living near the beach side. I have a Juhu house facing the sea. I'm driving luxury cars. I dream about everything. But then every day I get up in the morning and come back to reality and deal with the reality properly. So I think for me, it's about if I don't do all this, then I don't know what to do with that energy that's there inside. So I'm like, you said you want to interview me. Frankly, I mean, I don't know. I have not achieved anything fantastic that I have to give interviews to people. But it just helps me to express myself. It's an opportunity for me. So I think that expression is very important for me. For me, it's oxygen. So I have to express myself. Otherwise, it will become a problem. So I have to speak. I have to write. I have to meditate because they're all forms of expression. I have to do my bathroom singing. These are all forms of expression. So my good friend Dilip that day told me after I'd finished one more episode of the Entertrainer show, which is basically music based. He said, "यार आपके अंदर ना अभिव्यक्ति बहुत है." I said, "ये क्या word है? मतलब इसका क्या मतलब होता है?" He said, "Expression. You don't care whether anybody is going to watch you, listen to you. They're going to be there around, but you anyway go ahead and do it." So I said, "Yeah. I mean, thank God for that quality." So so I think it's about just doing it, and the results will take care of themselves, and they will come whenever they have to.
Well, indeed, they will come whenever they have to, and I'm
not
sure
in your control.
You're not in your control at all. But I'm sure all your dreams will be fulfilled, Harisab. May you have the best of houses next to the Juhu beach, and may you drive the most luxurious, car.
If I love the mountains, I'd be imagining a house in maybe Ooty or Shimla somewhere.
Well, may all your dreams fulfill. But more importantly, it was not by accident that we called you for this interview. It was by choice, because this program is all about ground leaders on the ground who make a difference in whatever little way. And I think it's not just little ways that you make a difference. You make a difference in a lot of ways, Harisab. And the sincere efforts that you put in into your hard work may not be overwhelmingly rewarding, but as we keep saying, one soul is all that we require. If that one soul changes, then you have done your job and I have done mine as well. So keep inspiring. I can only relate you to the famous quote. I can only relate you to, it says, I want to inspire people. I want someone to look up at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. And that's the sort of personality you are, because I'm sure people may meet you after 100 years and they'll still say, it's because of you.
You want me to live that long? My God.
Well, may you live 100. अभी उसके ऊपर गाना गाना है तो please वो भी गाइए.
Oh God.
Right. Well, Hari Saab, thank you so much. It was a pleasure
thank you,
talking to
very,
you.
Very kind of you to think that I'm worthy of being, given some footage, as I said at the beginning. You're also doing such an amazing work. Let's see. I look forward to working with you sometime together. Do some projects together. Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Always looking forward to networking with people who love to empower and have the same vision and the same thought. With that, Hari Saab, thank you very much for your time today. And thank you all, audience, for listening in. I mean, it's two people conversing and talking about life and life stories. But it's always beautiful to be listening to someone who shares so much and gives us that insight that is required for us to stay motivated. Even if it was just the 30 minutes of the day that you spent with us today listening, I'm sure you're inspired and you'll take one leaf, if not two, from this program. Do continue to watch Ground Zero Everyday Leaders. Stay connected, subscribe to our channel as well, and of course, subscribe to Hari Saab's channel and his social media platforms. And stay blessed, stay safe. We are still going through this motion of the pandemic, but probably we are nearing to the battle wherein we say, hey, it's time we are victorious over you. With that, let us all, continue empowering each other and making the world a beautiful place. Hari Saab, very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. A very good evening, and thanks to all the audience for being there.
If anything, the word Entertrainer that he has inherited is superly apt for the man Hariharan Iyer. He breathes a life coach in the literal sense. He secures the title of being a motivational speaker in every sense of the definition. Hariharan Iyer is a true inspiration, a true coach, and above all, a sincere human being the world today deserves to have. We wish nothing less but the best of things for Hari Saab and his family. May we all stay connected with him, as there are very few out there who, through their sheer physical presence, bring a change every moment. Hariharan Iyer, the Entertrainer indeed.